Welcome to our council meeting, our regular council meeting of Wednesday, September the 11th. Thank you all for being here, those in the audience and those online. I would like to let you know that this meeting is being audio and video recorded and live streamed on the Town of Innisfil's YouTube channel and shall form part of the record, which is to be retained in accordance with the town's retention bylaw. And you can get more information about this bylaw from our clerk's office. As this is September 11th, I would like everybody to take a moment to please reflect on the tragedy of 2001 and remember the people who lost their lives, the victims, and also a special thanks to our firefighters who always run towards tragedy instead of away. Item number 2 is open forum. I'd now like to ask Councillor Linda Zanella if she would please deliver the land acknowledgement statement.
The Town of Innisfil acknowledges that the Town of Innisfil is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history. The town also acknowledges that the land is in the traditional territories of the First Peoples of Turtle Island. It is shared between the Anishinaabe peoples of Beausoleil First Nation, Chippewas of Rama First Nation, and Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation, and we thank them for their generations of stewardship. This meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people, and as settlers, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. The town acknowledges the forced sacrifices that are the foundation of Canadian society today. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit.
Thank you so much, Councillor Zanella. Next on the agenda is the open forum. I believe we had no one sign up for the open forum this evening. So we'll move right to item 3 then, and I would ask for a mover and a seconder for an approval of this evening's agenda as was printed and circulated a week ago. Councillor Drodge and Councillor Richardson, any agenda repair required before we move forward? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Next is a disclosure of interest. Is there any member of council that has a disclosure or a conflict of interest on an item tonight's agenda? Councillor Richardson.
As a member of the Innisfil Lions Club for their delegation, I will recuse myself from any discussion.
Thank you for that, Councillor Richardson. And no need to actually leave the room, but if you just push your chair back, that would be acceptable. And I believe there's also some paperwork to fill in with the clerk's office. Done. Wonderful. Thank you. Are there any other disclosures or conflicts this evening? Seeing none, if one becomes apparent to you during the meeting, please make it known at that time. Next, presentations and petitions. We have none, but we have 3 different delegations this evening. So we'll start with our first delegation, and that is the Innisfil Lions Club, looking to support for permission to install community signs on town property. And we welcome the Innisfil Lions. There's quite a few of you here tonight. Welcome. And whenever you're ready, Ms. Jacks.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan and Council. Thank you for having us. I'm here with Darlene from the Lions Club and Carl from the Lions Club. We also have support from the Rotary and the Legion here, which is wonderful. We're here tonight to propose installing 5 service club signs in Innisfil. So in 2023, the Lions formed the Innisfil Community Partners, which was is a collaboration between the service clubs in Innisfil. We decided that it would be best to work together, not duplicate service, as we all work together to serve the community of Innisfil. There's a lot of need, and we have many, many great service clubs. So together we decided that we would plan an annual event that would act as a fundraiser to raise funds for an initiative each year decided on by the collaboration. This right now is an annual golf tournament. Our first annual golf tournament is on September 21st. It's already sold out. It's going to be a great success. We thank everyone who has come out to support local businesses, all of the different service clubs. The Innisfil Community Partners decided that the first year's proceeds would go towards 5 service club signs at different points in Innisfil. We're here today. We believe the fundraiser this year, in its first year, will cover the cost of the 5 signs that were designed by Signs and Designs. They will be purchased and installed, hopefully, before winter this year. We are here to ask council to support this. Obviously, the Town of Innisfil logo will be the prominent logo on the sign. The Rotary and the Lions Club have come up with the funds for also prominent logos. I'll skip forward to the design to date. We asked the town from their discretionary fund for $500 towards the cost of these signs. We were contacted by Karen Shea today to say that we were approved. So thank you very much to the mayor and council for that. We appreciate the support. We understand the benefit of these signs. It promotes the town in a favorable light to tourists. It tells newcomers to the town, new residents, about all of the service clubs that can help them or that they could get involved with. And most towns and cities do have these signs. With a town as wonderful as Innisfil, it's a shame to not have them. All of that to say, it's also a very big town. So when we talked about doing a service club sign and doing this fundraiser with the Innisfil Community Partners, which is up to 15 to 20 service clubs at this point that have expressed interest in being involved or already are involved in a meaningful way. We, of course, would like to have one here at Town Hall. Now, all that to say that doesn't necessarily cover a town the size of Innisfil. So in our discussions, we first landed on 4 signs: Stroud, Guilford, Cookstown, and Town Hall. But we've now expanded with the success of our golf tournament to go ahead and say that we're going to also have one at Big Bay Point. All of that to say, these signs will probably be on county land. We understand that. The thing that we're looking for direction on is a sign here at Town Hall. Where would that fall? Town land or county land? I'm more than happy to reach out to the county to get their advice on where these signs should go in these locations. And should the sign here at Town Hall fall on county land, we just ask that the town support the installation of these signs and this initiative. Should the sign fall on town land, we ask that the town would be willing to enter into an agreement with us to move forward with this sign. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you so much, Allison. Questions or comments for the Innisfil Lions Club? I had one question and one comment. So the idea with the circles, so if a new organization started or if one ceased to exist, they could be updated?
Absolutely. So Signs and Designs, it's obviously a one-time purchase, but they will at any time for a fee add a logo. So in our annual golf tournament first year, the service clubs that were willing to get involved on a sponsorship level got their place on the sign. We have a program in place that after the fact, any service club that qualifies as a service club can absolutely purchase their logos on the sign, and Signs and Designs will install them. The Innisfil Lions Club is willing to take the lead and maintain the signs and work with the Innisfil community partners on an ongoing basis in terms of funding any maintenance or repairs. So none of that would fall on the town. We're absolutely happy to take the lead on that and make sure that the financial end of it is managed. So to answer your question, yes, a qualifying service club that starts up now or 10 years from now will absolutely have an opportunity to get involved.
Thank you. And my final comment would be, it's so wonderful to see members of the Legion Branch 547 and members of Rotary here today. It's not as common as you would think for service clubs to work together and not compete against each other. And so we're so very fortunate that that's not the case here in Innisfil, and that everybody supports everyone else. And I'm very fortunate to have snagged a ticket for that golf tournament so I will see you there. I'm looking forward to that, so thank you.
Thank you again for your financial support. Yes.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Councillor Waters, did you have a?
I just have an alternative recommendation I'd like to present.
Thank you. Does clerks have a copy, and do you have a seconder?
Yes, Fred? And I think the clerks do have a copy.
Did you want to speak to that recommendation?
Sure. I think most of us think it's a worthwhile endeavor, and so as
Sorry to cut you off. It's Councillor Drodge as his seconder.
Yeah.
right. So I think it's that we give a slightly stronger recommendation in terms of support for what the Lions is doing. So I just want to present a stronger recommendation that would reflect that.
Thank you. And can I ask if the Lions had advance notice that there was going to be an recommendation come forward like this? And do you have any comments to say on the recommendation as is on the screen?
It's not up there yet. I don't. It was. There it is. Yes. Okay.
No, I did speak to members of council and the town for some advice on how to move forward with this, but I thank you for the support.
Final questions or comments from anyone? Seeing none, all those in favor of the revised recommendation on the floor? Any opposed? That is carried unanimously with one abstention. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here this evening. Much appreciated. Next, we'll go to our next delegation. It is by Derek Parker, and this is regarding an exemption to build an ADU, an alternative dwelling unit, in Cookstown on Clover Hill Crescent. Please come forward. Thank you. We'll just give our friends a moment to leave if they'd like. Thank you. Please, whenever you're ready, if you could please introduce yourself for the record. Thank you.
Yep. Good evening, Mayor and councillors. My name is Lori Parker, and we've come here today to ask for permission to build our Granley in-law suite on our property for my mother. We researched ADUs in Ontario, knowing that the Ontario government has allowed these developments approximately 18 months ago to help with the affordable housing crisis and lack of senior care in the GTA. We contacted the municipality of Innisfil and was told all was on the website where we found the application for the additional dwelling unit. This March, we found a reputable contractor who got us in touch with an architect to help us with the designing of the unit within the regulations. We also had a geographical survey and truss design drawings completed. We did everything according to the bylaws, but not knowing ADUs were not allowed in Cookstown due to sanitary reasons. Now, after being explained, we still do not understand why we cannot add an additional person to a two-person occupant home with sewers, water, and electricity, which will all be added to our existing dwelling unit. We ask of all of you today to give us an exception for us to build this suite for my mother to provide her with her own personal space, security, and future long-term care living close to her family. On a further note, I brought our contractor for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Questions or comments for Ms. Parker? Deputy Mayor Fowler. Oh, Councillor Drodge.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just for some clarification, the sanitary for ADUs, it's not ADUs specifically. We just don't have enough allocations for any kind of increase in town currently.
Through you, Mayor Dolan,
I understand that, sir, but that would be like...
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. We'll have our staff, we were asking our staff a question.
Oh, sorry, I thought you
That's
were
okay.
talking about contractors. Sorry.
No, we're asking Ms. Lee as our Director of Growth and Development, and she's going to answer that question.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. Through to Councillor Drodge. So that is correct. There is a limitation on servicing, wastewater servicing currently in Cookstown. Annually, staff come to council and identify what the allocation is. We came end of last September to identify particular projects that we had committed allocation to in accordance with the servicing allocation policy. So there is a limitation currently in terms of residential units and commercial units in Cookstown.
Just one more following question. And as Ms. Parker went through their planning, they wouldn't have came across that information until later in their planning. They would have had all their permits, or not permits in place, but their architectural drawings, their contractor in place, and they could have spent a pretty extensive amount of money before they would have came across knowing that they wouldn't qualify for that allocation?
Exactly.
Sorry, through you, Mayor Dolan, to Councillor Drodge. So there are two sections, the ADU unit section within the town website. It does speak to the fact that there was a zoning bylaw amendment, and it goes through a guide. I will say the Cookstown information is a number of pages into that guide, so that it wouldn't have been as apparent initially for an individual to understand that limitation. The website does speak to the fact that they are allowed in certain areas and to check the bylaw, and there was a link to the bylaw to look at further. I do understand from the building staff team there were, because there was a submission through Cloud Permit, there was an indication back to the owners that we don't allow them in Cookstown, but I'm not sure when that information got to them in terms of when they did their drawings. So staff have undertaken to update the website and provide that in a clearer term on the front page of the website, so that it is clear that the limitation is there in Cookstown.
And just one more question. Would there be any allocations that may be available if we were to entertain, because they have spent so much time and money into this project? Would there be an allocation available if we were to seek one?
So through you, Mayor Dolan, to Councillor Drodge, when the 2023 report came to council, it was identified that there were still approximately, I'm going to open my computer back up because I had that there. I believe there were still 6 units available at that point that were available for council to consider.
I'll just keep going. So then I guess I would like to propose a revised recommendation if other council members don't have any more questions.
Let's put a motion on the floor first. So do you have a seconder, Councillor Drodge?
I do. It's Councillor Richardson.
Thank you.
And I guess the motion I would like to put forward is that the delegation regarding exemption to build an alternative dwelling at 14 Clover Hill Crescent, Cookstown be received, and that council approve an exemption to the Cookstown Sanitary Sewer Allocation Policy, CP01-1211, for the resident to build an alternative dwelling unit at 14 Clover Hill Crescent, and for staff to direct to review our permit and communication processes to ensure that residents applying for permits to build an ADU understand that there are no further allocations available for these types of units in Cookstown at this time until the EA's completed solutions to wastewater capacity issues resolved in that area.
Thank you. Questions or comments on the revised recommendation? I have just a couple. So the environmental assessment process is underway. Is that correct, Ms. Lee? And do we have, Director Lee, and do we have a date yet for when the PIC will take place?
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. That is correct. The EA process is underway. The notice of commencement has been issued. A date has not yet been set for that first PIC. We understand that will be available shortly.
Thank you. And I guess my comment would be, after speaking to Mr. Parker on the phone, I pretended I was going to build an ADU, and I went on the website and started to look, and I didn't, I guess, get to that page because I couldn't find it, so I'm not sure at what point it was, but it certainly, to me, could be more prevalent, or some kind of a red flag right up at the very beginning of the process, so we don't end up with people investing in a property and then finding out after the fact as opposed to before the fact. So I certainly can support this, this recommendation. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the recommendation? Any opposed? That is carried unanimously. Thank you. Any further comments or questions of council?
Our contractor came for you if there's anything, but thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we'll move on to item 3. Our third one is Nicole Phillips, and this is regarding a heritage alteration permit application, 8 William Drive, Cookstown. I think it's Cookstown night tonight.
Hi, everyone. So we are applying to demolish a home that exists on our property. Backstory is that Rob built a house on the property that we live in, and this current home still exists, and we're just looking to demolish it. So the house is a Class D, which I'm sure all of you guys know. It's non-contributing to the heritage character of Cookstown, and it doesn't possess sufficient or any of the character-defining elements. It does not meet any of the 3 criteria established by Ontario Regulation 0906, which includes design or physical value, historical or associative value, or contextual value. The Heritage Committee evaluated as a D for the lack of aesthetic, historic, scientific, cultural, and social or spiritual significance. And it does not include significant Victorian or Edwardian architectural details. It's okay, I can skip it. Specifically to the home on our property, it doesn't have any masonry materials. It doesn't have wood materials with elaborate carved decorative features, porch treillage, posts with brackets, or sign bands. So this is how it currently looks. The building has been severely altered, which has lost the original integrity of the building. The fenestration and cladding are not original, which detracts from the historical nature of this structure. As you can see, the front cladding on the main floor is painted aluminum. The second floor is wood, board, and batten siding, which was installed by the previous owner. And the window and trim have all been replaced and are not original. And then along the side elevation, it is rolled asphalt roofing, which from my understanding is not.
I think it's called Innisfil brick. It was popular in the 60s, I think.
It's been replaced as well. That's just another picture of the back of it. And then in 2019, we got Springwater Engineering to do a condition assessment on the property. Were you able to read? Like, I don't want to read every point. So you got it? Okay.
We all received a copy of the Springwater report in our agenda package.
Okay, excellent, because I don't want to have to read it. I would say that the biggest takeaways are the extensive signs of flooding and the fact that the report talks about the foundation and that it would be, it would just not be the best to restore it. So demolition is in the plan for buildings that have structurally deteriorated to a level that is beyond practical restoration or rehabilitation, and that's 3.2 of the Heritage Act. And I think that this applies to what building that we are trying to demolish. Our main objective is just to finish our street. And so I'm also not going to read these, but we have a lot of neighborhood support. So I think we have 10 letters, and the first 5 are all people who live in heritage homes.
And can all see, they can all see this house, whether it be from their back deck or their porch. They're not across town. These are immediate neighbors.
Yeah, anybody that surrounds us, but I will say 5 of the 10 are residents who live in heritage homes that value heritage. And so do we. We value heritage. We understand why it exists. It's not in my slideshow, but I just wanted to preface the fact that right directly next door to us, 6 William Drive on March 15th, 2017, was approved for a demolition, and they did not need a heritage impact assessment, as well as 14 Selby on August 8th of 2018. And that one was also approved without a heritage impact assessment. That one was based on flooding, and our structural engineer report also proves that our basement, if you can call it that.
Yeah, but flooding as well. All category D, all non-contributing dwellings.
And we really appreciate your time and consideration.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Drodge.
Thank you for your presentation. I just had a couple comments and questions. First off, the infrastructure to that building, so water, sewer, hydro, are any of those things still intact?
The sewer and water have been used for the new dwelling that exists at the south side of the same property. The hydro has been removed, so there's no meter. There's a meter base there with no glass digital. It's all been removed. The answer is yes.
Thanks. And the next question is, how long have you owned the property? Because I know that you did go through a planning process in 2017 to build that second dwelling while you were planning on staying in the current building we're talking about today. But how long have you owned the whole property in a whole?
It was a joint venture with a friend of mine, Councillor Drodge, and he had to back out due to financial reasons. So it was purchased by Jonathan Bayan in 2017, but I purchased it from Jonathan Bayan, and I believe it would be 2019. So.
But the project was done together from 2017.
Yes. Yeah, since 2017 is the short answer.
That's all I have for now. Thanks.
Any other questions and comments? Questions or comments? Seeing none, so unlike the other 2 delegates that went before you, this is an item that's on the agenda tonight. So if you wanted to stick around and see if there'll be any debate on that item, it's item C1, I believe. Am I right, Councillor Drodge? You're more than welcome to do that. But right now, I'd ask for a mover and a seconder, please, to receive the delegation. Moved by Councillor Drodge, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fowler. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your time.
All right, that ends our delegation section. Now we'll move on to item number 7, which is County Council, any municipal association, conservation authorities, anything that you have been asked to be a part of or represent Innisfil at any delegations. Councillor Saunders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Last week, the IAC, the Accessibility Board, had the pleasure of doing our presentation that we usually do to grade 5s and we brought it here to Town Hall for the staff, and we had almost 100 staff members go through it. And from everybody I talked to, they had a really good time, and it was such a good eye-opener for them to see what we do with the schools. And it was good for our group because we had to change from the grade 5s to bring it up a level to adults, but we kind of actually had a really good day. So on behalf of the council and all of our group for the IAAC, we had a good time, and we look forward to doing it again next year for people that didn't attend this year.
Thank you for that, Councillor Saunders, and thank you for putting it on. I understand that the staff members were much more well-behaved than the grade 5 students, which is good to hear. Deputy Mayor Fowler.
Thank you, Worship. County Council was earlier this week, and one of the big topics that came up was the county governance discussion. There was a recommendation that was put forth back in August that recommended a change in size of the county council and to move to appoint a full-time warden. There was a lot of debate back and forth with this issue. To put it in perspective, it comes down to something similar to having the same 32 county councilors, but putting a full-time warden into play, going down to only the mayors of each community, so 16 with a full-time warden or something along those lines. So there was pros, cons put forth by everybody, and everybody had a voice to say in the matter, some pro, some against. So it's gone back to the governance committee, and it will be coming back to county council later on this year once the internal discussion and the clarifications were brought up, that were put forth by everybody. As well, we had the Economic Development Committee at the county level. There was a lot of debate, mostly updates actually, regarding the Rural Economic Development Program, or RED as we call it. There was $77,000 going to be spent over the next 3 years for workforce retention and attraction. So we're trying to create jobs, maintain jobs, and invite people in to create more jobs. One of the things that I really am championing right now, which I think is very, very successful and good, is the Work in Simcoe County website. It's workinsimcoecounty.ca. If you go there, it is a phenomenal website. On average, there's between 4,000 and 5,000 jobs listed every day. You can check by map, you can narrow it down by trade, you can narrow it down by hours, full-time, part-time. It's, even when I walk people through it, it goes down to at least 60 jobs. Out of all the ones that people can apply to. They're looking at another skilled trades apprenticeship expo in the coming year. They had one this past May, I think it was in Elmhurst, and it was actually, or Elmdale, sorry, Elmdale, and it was, and it was actually incredibly successful getting our youth out, because there's so many factors people think they overlook when they think of trades. They're talking about a mentorship program, which is, I think, is incredible, because, I mean, knowledge is something you can give away completely and still have yourself. And if we need to attract our youth into it, into the trades of all sorts, we need to show them what their future is like, how successful it can be. And there was some debate with the warden and myself, along with a few of the other county councillors, about getting it earlier in the school years. Right now they're looking at 11 and 12. We're looking at going back as far as grade 8 and grade 9, because there are some kids that are going to be out there that do not have the potential to hit university with the cost of living these days. And last but not least, they're taking the students on industry tours so they can see firsthand what the work would entail and if it might be a potential future for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anyone else have anything? I just wanted to, I have a couple of things. First of all, just to piggyback on the Deputy Mayor's comments at County Council regarding governance review. It's something we do every 4 years, and given that we've had the provincial government come twice to us to do a regional governance review, we feel we're one of the most bloated councils in Ontario right now, with 32 people representing about 500,000 people. And so part of the idea is to try to bring that number down. And then the only thing I would correct, Deputy Mayor, is that County Council would be by mayor or designate. It could be anyone on county council. In a large municipality where the mayors may be busier, they could designate another member to sit as the county councillor. It doesn't have to be the mayor in each municipality. So there was still lots of questions, and change is difficult. So everybody who had questions was to send information through to the clerk's office, and then governance will meet again. I do sit on that committee. But keeping in mind, all of that would require, by legislation, a triple majority. So even if the majority of county council voted for it, it would still come to this House for us to debate and vote on as well, on whether or not we felt it was the right thing to do for the county. The only other comment we had is at the middle of August, most of us attended the AMO conference, members of council and members of staff. That was in Ottawa. And there were record-breaking attendance this year. There was 3,300 delegates in attendance. There was also record-breaking sponsors and record-breaking exhibitors. We had a wonderful AI presentation by our very own Mike Milanishin, who appeared on a panel with the Ontario Privacy Commissioner and talked about AI initiatives and did a wonderful job. So thank you for that, Mike. And I want to thank everybody here, particularly Councillor Zanella for coming up with the idea of wearing T-shirts, and all of you for participating with your purple shirts on for the elections this year. There was 11 people running for 4 seats in the small urban caucus, and I was very fortunate to get one of those seats, and I have all of you to thank for that. So thank you very much. And then on Wednesday, when the conference finished, the new board under the leadership of Robin Jones, who's the new president. She's the mayor of Westport, a small community in Eastern Ontario. We met, and the Small Urban Caucus group selected me to chair the Small Urban Caucus for the next year, which I humbly accepted. So I hope everybody got a lot out of the conference, and next year it'll be back in Ottawa again. And that's it for me. So next we'll move on to the consent agenda list, which is the next thing on the list. So we'll work through all of the items here. Each one of them has a recommendation that staff had printed. If council's happy with the recommendation that staff have put forward, it'll be confirmed at the end of the meeting. If you want further discussion, if you have questions, to pull something, to have further debate, or even if you just want to ask questions, that's appropriate as well. So we'll start with A1. A1 was the special council meeting minutes dated August the 14th. A2, the council meeting minutes dated August the 14th. B1, the Electoral Engagement Advisory Committee meeting of August the 7th. B2, the Innisfil Heritage Advisory Committee meeting of August the 8th. B3, the Innisfil Accessibility Advisory Committee of August 13th. And B4, the Ward Boundary Review Ad Hoc Committee meeting August the 26th. So for those of you who may be watching online, know that it's more than just Wednesday nights that we sit here, and even though we did have a bit of a break in the summer, many of the committees were still very active, and really appreciate council and all of the volunteers from our community for being on all those committees. Next is C1, the staff report regarding heritage alteration permit application for 8 William Drive in Cookstown. Councillor Drodge.
I'd like to refer that to committee of the whole, please.
Thank you. D1, the award of the contract for the Cookstown Connecting Link Road Rehabilitation Project. D2, the award of contract for the Road Rehabilitation Program. Councillor Ices.
I'd like to refer that to committee, please.
Thank you. There are no bylaws this evening and no correspondence for action, so we'll go for correspondence for information. G1, the South Simcoe Police Annual Report from 2023. G2, the County Council meeting minutes dated August the 13th. G3, a thank you letter from John Broussard. That was a thank you for the help with the summer barbecue. G4, a proclamation, G4 is a proclamation for National Legion Week, September 16th to the 20th. Councillor Richardson.
I just wanted to note that members of the Legion will be at the Farmers Market on September 19th in celebration of Legion Week to answer any questions anybody may have about the Legion.
Wonderful, thank you for that. And G5, a proclamation regarding Mental Illness Awareness Week. Seeing none, we have the 2 items pulled, so we'll go to the consent list recommendation. And I'd ask for a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Waters, seconded by Councillor Richardson. All those in favor? That is carried. And a motion to resolve into Committee of the Whole for further debate. Councillor Constantine and Deputy Mayor Fowler. All those in favor? That is carried. So the first item is item C1, and that was Councillor Drodge.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Zanella is my seconder.
Sorry, through your worship to Councillor Drodge, did you wish to put the revised recommendation on the floor?
Yes, I would like to put a revised recommendation. It's kind of in my speech here that I got.
Go ahead, Councillor Drodge.
Thank you. So first of all, I apologize, this is a bit lengthy. But first of all, I would like to thank the Heritage Committee for everything they do. It's not an easy task to decide which historical homes are of importance and the others that are not, and to maintain that balance in the community. With that being said, this building, I do believe, should be demolished, and I have to put forward a new recommendation that will allow Mr. Reith permission to demolish the old structure on 8 William Drive, and here are the reasons why. Cookstown is a heritage district, and because of its historical district, all properties have a rating from A to D, A being high heritage value and D being low, or the wording they use, non-contributing. This home has a rating of D, non-contributing. I also want to note that there has been D-rated buildings demolished in recent years without requiring a heritage assessment, such as 6 William, 14 Selby, 2 Saunders, just to name a few. In 2017, Council passed a recommendation to allow Mr. Reith to build a new home on the same property and allow the original home to remain while it was being completed, so Mr. Reith could live in the home while his other home was being built. Mr. Reith did try to live in the home, but quickly realized that the home was far too deteriorated and had to relocate. At that time, the staff report made comment that after completion of his new home, he could apply for a heritage permit that should he wish to demolish or make alterations to the existing structure, and report also noted that the heritage assessment may be required, but it also mentioned that the heritage assessments are and I also should mention that the heritage assessments are quite expensive, and it would be a responsibility for Mr. Reith to pay if we were to make him have one. This past weekend, I did have a look at the structure, and visually, this building state has become unsafe to enter, and the owners have provided council with a structural report stating this. The residents close to 8 William have also sent in letters supporting the demolition of this home due to its current condition and overall negative appearance it brings to the area. My final point is more about the character of Mr. Reith and what he brings to the community. He has built 3 homes in Cookstown in line with the HCD guidelines and following Heritage Advisory Committee comments in each build. He has done everything he has been asked to do to keep the heritage look in mind. For all of these reasons, I would like to allow Mr. Reith to demolish this building and ask council to support my new recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Drudge. Anything from the seconder, Councillor Zanella? Nothing to add? Questions or comments on this? So I have a couple. So when you look at the front of that building, it reminds me of the family that lived there for many, many years, the Gollings, and they moved back to England several years ago. But it's amazing that when I look at it now, that the 3 people lived in that house. I wonder a couple of things. First of all, through you to Ms. Lee, so 2014 was when these guidelines were drawn, so they're 10 years old now. We've had some experience with the Heritage Conservation District, and I wondered at what point, not that we need any more work to do, but at what point would we go back and relook at the heritage guidelines for Cookstown, what works, what doesn't work, what needs to be updated?
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. There is actually a capital project for the review of the heritage guidelines. At this point in time, it unfortunately hasn't been the priority for planning staff based on other legislative changes, but it is something that's still identified in the next year or so to complete that process and do the review.
Thank you. Given the amount of changes that are coming out of the province these days, including the Heritage Act, it doesn't surprise me at all that it's not at the top of the list. The only other question I would have was regarding the 2017 report. When I reread it, it talks about, making sure that the house was demolished because back in 2017, the thought of having two dwellings on one property was not legal, or I guess maybe that's not the right word, just not done back then. And now we have, as of right, 3 dwellings on every property. So just to speak to that point, so if this house was demolished, would there need to be a severance to add, or could an ADU be added, like when we have capacity?
Thank you, Mayor Dolan, for adding the last part about the capacity, because that would have been my first comment. Is right now, while we do allow 2 additional dwelling units as of right, with the limitations in Cookstown, that is not the case. But once those allocations are addressed, there would be permission for 2 additional dwelling units allowed as of right.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. Anyone else? Seeing none, the revised recommendation is on the screen. All those in favor of the recommendation? That is carried. Thank you. And next we'll go to item 8.2. I'm sorry, not 8.2, G4. No. Thank you.
Councillor Saunders is my seconder for this. So on reading the report, I was happy to see that some road work is being done again. The 20th side road is a heavily traveled road, and the road was, quite frankly, never designed for that. So it's great to see that project coming to fruition, along with the 9th to the west of the 400 there. Do we have an idea? It mentioned something about possibly the work starting in 2024. Do we have an idea if that, on a timeline for that?
Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Ices, we have asked the contractor to prioritize 20th Side Road and Verner Drive in Guildford because they are in the worst condition. The intent is we're waiting for locates, so begin possibly end of September on 20th and Verner, to be determined still due to locates though.
My next question is dealing with the type of construction of the road. It's pretty narrow in its current state. Will there be opportunity to widen it a bit, possibly for cyclists or agriculture equipment that travels that road frequently?
Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Ices. So the road bed itself is staying the same width. However, it will be pulverized and paved, and there will be a 1.5 meter paved shoulder for cyclists and farm equipment. And my
final comment is around communication of that work. The farm community is gearing up for harvest, and a lot of large equipment will be using roads, and that road will be needed to get to the fields to harvest. So I'm hoping there's lots of communication when that will happen, and if the roads have to be reduced to one lane, that lane be able to accommodate the equipment that needs to get through there. So those are all my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Duncan. Thank you, Councillor Ices. Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. Concerning the 20th, does that include all the interchanges in terms of, there was some discussion about roundabouts at certain interchanges. Does that include this or just strictly a paving?
Through your worship to Councillor Waters, this is just paving, completing culverts, but there are no roundabouts, no.
Thank you.
Councillor Saunders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just have a question on Pine Grove, Aspen, Cove Avenue. That's being done. They're going to do some paving down there. But with Parkbridge doing their new developments down there, will we be putting sewers and waters along that while we're doing it? Or are we just going to sort of kind of waste our money and not do it yet?
Ms. Duncan, that was a bit of a leading question, but go ahead.
Through you, your worship to Councillor Saunders, yeah, that, we just intend on paving those roads. Yeah.
Thank you. And this report was just to be received for information, so we got lots more information, which is wonderful. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Drodge.
This is a comment to Councillor Ices. I do know that Verner Drive is already ongoing locates. I've already seen it happening, so they are moving forward rather quickly.
Councillor Ices, go ahead.
Oh, and just a further comment of the road work that was done on the 20th south of Innisfil Beach Road. It looks wonderful. Thank you for that.
Through your worship, I can't take credit for that. That would be operations that completed that. But thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the recommendation to receive the report? That is carried. Next, the rise recommendation, please. Moved by Councillor Ices, seconded by Councillor Saunders. All those in favor? That is carried. And consideration to adopt the recommendations from the Committee of the Whole. Moved by Councillor Drodge, seconded by Councillor Waters. All those in favor? Next is notices of motion. We had none and notices, and so we'll go to announcements. And we'll start with Ward 1, Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Worship. I had the opportunity to attend the Tanger Mall opening of their community garden back in August, and it was if you drive by the mall there at the south end where they have the model homes, you can probably see it from the highway. There's a little fenced-in area where I guess all the store owners contribute some funds. Staff of the Tanger Mall have created this garden. They've got some assistance from Bradford Greenhouses, and it was time to harvest some of the crops there, the vegetables, and all that. The vegetables that were harvested go to the Troy Scott community fridges. So it was just an excellent endeavor that our local businesses do for the community, and I was it was grateful for me to attend that and see that. So the other thing that I wanted to report on is this Friday there's a Innisfil Spartan game versus the Otters. So all you hockey fans can come out and cheer on the Spartans.
Thank you so much, Councillor Ices. Councillor Constantine.
Thank you, Your Worship. On September 22nd, there will be a family fun fest at the Guilford Hall, and all are welcome. And there will be collecting food for the Innisfil Food Bank. Also, September 29, there will be team darts at the Legion, and that's from 12 to 2:30. And there also, if you carry items for the food bank, then it will be free to go in, right? So we love to support the Innisfil Food Bank.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Richardson.
This month, we actually had we had new business. Dollar Tree opened up. Their official opening with the ribbon cutting was on Saturday. I, for one, am very glad. I love Dollar Tree. Innisfil Eye Center celebrated their 1-year anniversary on Monday. Coming up this Thursday is Neighborhood Nights at Town Square with me. I'll be there. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody and chatting with people. This Saturday at Lakeshore, it'll be very busy during the day, is Maker Fest. Great times from 10 till 2, and then in the evening will be the Rotary Harvest Dinner. And then on top of that, all the new programs have started for the library, one of which is, it's called Gotta Get a Job, teen employment classes, and it runs every Wednesday from 3:30 to 4:30. I know I have a teen at my house that was attending that class today, so, and will attend until he finds a job.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. A few items going on in Ward 4. Euchre Night is back at the Lions Hall, September 27th. Doors open at 7, and it's $13 to play. Then there's a fundraising, a pasta fundraising dinner, September 29th at the Lions Hall, 4 to 8, $15 per adult, $10 for kids. And last but not least, CW Coops this Friday is having a live band, 30-odd 6. That sounds like a very cool band. I'd love to be able to see that group. So anyways, that's going on at CW Coops this Friday.
Thank you, Councillor Zanella.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Lakeside Dance Studio is offering a special wedding class dances. So if anybody is getting married or knows somebody getting married and would like to learn how to dance at the wedding, for $79, you can give them a call, and they have a introductory course, teach you all how to dance. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Saunders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Friday Harbor, September 28th and 29th is Harbor Fest. They're doing a beer tasting and Bavarian-themed eats. I was very privileged to attend Mr. and Mrs. Struthers' 70th anniversary today, where the town, Andrea Kajan, and John Broussard all gave us scrolls to present to them. They're an amazing couple. And I just can't believe somebody's been married 70 years. It's crazy. And then last week, the mayor and I believe a couple other councillors were attending the 7th anniversary of Sandy Cove's drugstore. It's great to see businesses lasting that long and becoming a pillar, because it's very well needed within the Sandy Cove community.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Drodge.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Guilford Local Eatery and Bayview Pizza are putting off an outdoor movie night this Friday at 8 p.m. That's at 1096 Shore Acres, and I believe the movie is Casper. On September 22nd, the Guilford United Church is receiving a defibrillator, so there's a presentation going on there starting at 9:30 if you wanted to pop by and say hello. And last but not least, there's an indoor yard bake sale at St. Peter's Anglican Church in Churchill, October 5th from 9 to 2 p.m.
Thank you. I think I will need a defibrillator because I'm doing the run for Innisfil first, so then I can go and see the defibrillator. Deputy Mayor Fowler.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's been a busy past couple of weeks for everybody. Obviously with AMO and councillors and others, staff attending the conference in Ottawa. We had a Lefroy Family Fun Day on the 25th, where many members of council gathered together. I'd like to give a big thanks to the Legion for hosting and the companies, because everyone chipped in and made a really good day for everybody. On the 26th, Chelsea's Dance Pack had an open house, and it was an absolute delight to go in and see the little smiling faces and people who can dance far better than I can. On September 4th, Mayor and I, along with other members of council, were there for the flag raising for Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. It was very touching. They're going to be having in Barrie later this month a superhero stomp, which is something that, at Heritage Park, which I think is really incredible to help support the families and especially the children who fight this disease. This past weekend, on the 7th, I attended the Cookstown Antique and Vintage Show down in the Georgian Bay Steam Showgrounds. It really blew my mind that some of the things I saw, like the tin boxes we used to carry our lunches in with peanuts on it, and then when I was showing some of the younger people there, the phones that you actually put quarters in and dialed, and they didn't move, and you had to remember the numbers as you dialed them, which is really funny because the look on their faces. This weekend coming, we have Gussapalooza at the Steam Showgrounds again. I attended last year, 3 days. I was there every day. There are so many incredible bands there that it is just a phenomenal event, and I am very eager to see and hear what they have to offer this year. On the 18th, we have the Mayor's Business Breakfast that is being organized by the town. It is something I'm also looking forward to attending. The Run for Innisfil, as Mayor Dolan stated, the morning of the September 22nd, and I will not be doing the 5-kilometer run. I will not be doing the 3-kilometer run. I might do a 1-kilometer walk, just to support and everything, but it's always good that the Ahmadiyya Society is looking to help benefit everybody in town. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Busy time for everyone. I just wanted to add one item, and that was the Reg Howard, who is a resident at Sandy Cove, had his 80th birthday party. And many of you will know Reg as Santa's helper at the Kozlov Center. And he's also the author of a book with all of the stories that the children have told him while they're sitting on his knee. So it would be a good read, I'm sure. And I just also wanted to take a moment and thank the humongous efforts of staff this summer. One of council's objectives over the years has always been to the connect theme and to create pop-up events where residents can get together. And I've got to tell you, between Music in the Park, the Mobile Senior Active Living Center, the Mobile Youth Center, the Teen Nights, the Fresh Air Flicks, and the Neighborhood Nights, the amount of effort that it takes on a number of evenings, some of them Friday evenings, staff would give up to do these incredible items for our community, and they're very, very well attended. All of them have been very, very well attended, and I've no doubt tomorrow nights will be just as good. I'll even tell you, on last Thursday night when it was in Stroud, I had a lovely couple I'd met there who are residents of the city of Barrie, but they choose to come to Innisfil libraries, Innisfil events. They just love the small town feel. So it was wonderful to get that type of feedback. And that will continue because we'll have our very first Innisfall event at the town square on October the 5th from 10 till 2, and there'll be lots of fun activities to do there, so please keep your calendar open for that day. A couple of other items that are coming back. I know Ms. Thoma's been working very hard on the ward boundary review, and September the 19th, there'll be an open house at the library. Oh, and it's on the screen. There you go. I should just look up. So please attend that. And also, don't forget, because the kids are back in school, our farmers market. It's still going strong. It'll go till, I believe, the week before Halloween. And it's a great time to visit a farmer's market with all of the harvest happening now. So please support them as much as you can. And then my last comment was one that was a gentleman who I was chatting with at the last Neighborhood Nights, has a lovely young son, JC, who's involved in the Innisfil Snow Dogs. And the Innisfil Snow Dogs is a special needs hockey team here in Innisfil. And the younger team is up to only about 7 or 8 members attending, so they're looking to add some more members. So if you know of anyone who might be interested in joining our Innisfil Snow Dog team, it sounds like the kids, I watched a few games and the kids really have a blast. So that's it. Is there anything for the good of the corporation? Seeing nothing, then we'll go right to our confirming bylaw and adjournment. And we will be moved by Councillor Drodge and seconded by Councillor Richardson that we now adjourn at 8:05 p.m. And we'll see everyone in 2 weeks' time. We're back on our regular schedule, back at it for the fall. So thanks everyone for coming. All in favor? I didn't say that yet. And have a good rest of the evening. And anyone watching online, thank you for joining us. Good